Will Smith just released an apology to Chris Rock, and we are going to read it together. Violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are a part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. Okay, so I'm here at the Oscars. I stepped out for a second, but when Will Smith hit Chris Rock, everybody screamed. All these people, the nominees, I'm not on that level, right? I'm on the level above it. Like when people are accepting their awards and they say like, oh, my friends and family up there, I love you. Like I'm at that section. So I'm around these people's known people, like their circles, right? When Will Smith hit Chris Rock, the way that people screamed, and I'm quiet there because of course, like you, I'm expecting it to be kind of like a PR spectacle. But people around me said, well, everybody knows that Jada's had some health issues, which is, it could be rumor. I'm not going to talk about somebody's mom. When Will Smith hit that man stumbled back so fast, and then started talking like, wow, the greatest on television, where the fuck. So I come outside and I sit down because I have to answer emails. I'm just being real with you. And somebody comes up to me and says, oh my God, hi, are you Tuffy? Warms my heart. I'm like, let me ask you something. Who are you here with? They tell me who they're here with. I'm like, do you think that was real? And they said, I think that Will Smith was in on the joke, but Chris Rock wasn't. And then another person came up to me and said, I know for a fact that that was real. Nobody was expecting that, and people are scrambling right now. I'm gonna let you know right now that that was real. That was real. Will Smith rocked the shit out of Chris Rock, and I'm not trying to make a joke out of that, but you're not gonna speak on someone's wife. To be 100% transparent with you, I am very much an outsider in these situations. When you see me on red carpets, and I'm very much my mother's daughter. Does that make sense? I'm Maria Jose's daughter from Miami, and I'm here, and I feel very grateful and blessed to be in the same room as people. But I'm looking around, and these are people who have been at these awards many times over, and they look at me, and I look at them, and they tell me, yo, that is not planned. The Academy would never make a joke out of a man, especially a black man hitting another black man on a stage that the world is watching. So let's talk about it, Will Smith and Chris Rock. I made some TikToks about this on my personal page, but I want to take the time to really talk about it because I do think it's an important conversation. So these 3 seconds where Will Smith hit Chris Rock, although it was 3 seconds long, this is a conversation that people are having across the entire World Wide Web, right? So we can try to understand and we can dissect all that we want, but it's important that we don't overlook. As human beings, I know that you and me, I'm talking to you, have fucked up many times. We might have had the best intentions, right? But the way that we behave, our behaviors affect people, and those are those consequences. Will Smith walking on stage to defend his wife that was being ridiculed, we can understand. Of course, we can relate to defending somebody that we love, right? However, we are not Will Smith. I'm also not a parent or an international figure for emotional intelligence, fatherhood, and joy. There comes a responsibility with that. And I know comedians are now saying like, wow, now the floor is open for anybody to run on stage and hurt someone who is ridiculing a loved one. Which like in any other industry, I feel like, yeah. But I don't think that's necessarily true. Am I a stand-up comedian? No, so I cannot tell you what it's going to be like. But Regina Hall did make fun of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith in one of her skits where she was joking about getting tested for COVID. And it was cheeky and it was lighthearted and it didn't have... I think that Chris Rock is not on Will Smith's good list, and we'll get into that in a second. If you are someone who's disappointed in Will Smith, I understand. There are far and few personalities that you feel safe with the way that we do with Will Smith. Does that make sense? Watching that stop really was like watching your best friend like act out, and it makes you want to die inside because you're like, oh my God, you're better than that. You know what I mean? Just because like a moment of like passion or mismanaged intensity. On a stage where like every country in the world is going to watch this or has some kind of streaming service. Like everybody's gonna see this. And a person that you feel connected to is fucking up. But there is one point of view that nobody is talking about, and that's Jada's. I hope Jada's okay. Jada looked beautiful. And if her alopecia is a sensitive subject, actually no, I know that her alopecia is a sensitive subject. I'm going to assume, and this is me assuming, that Will Smith has seen his wife go through this process of losing her hair via alopecia. He's seen his wife struggle with her image, the idea of being desired. She's in an industry that is dependent on how she is perceived, and she has been perceived as one of the world's sexiest women for decades. And as if aging is not hard enough for a woman, that idea of being sexy, being attractive, and that connection to your hair, I can understand is really difficult and very sensitive. I wonder if Will Smith thought, I cannot protect her from alopecia and I cannot protect her from societal norms, but I can protect her from someone making fun of her on stage. And it's not the first time that this person that is making fun of your wife does this.
Jada's gonna boycott the Oscars. Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited.
That's in response to like boycotting the Oscars because it was too white. I don't know why Rihanna's panties are in it, but all right. So obviously Jada Pinkett Smith was uncomfortable with the jokes about her appearance being called G.I. Jane. But I'm also sorry that maybe her husband brought attention to her that she did not call or want. She has spoken openly about her alopecia.
It was terrifying when it first started. You know, I was in the shower one day and then just handfuls of hair just in my hands. And I was just like, oh my God, am I going bald? It was one of those times in my life where I was literally shaking with fear. That's a really scary experience. Yeah. That's why I cut my hair.
We can get to the idea of beauty and being a woman and hair in another video. But there's also an interview with Jada and Will Smith where they talk about Will's ego that I thought was really interesting.
He's told me that the party was the most ridiculous display of my ego. Crushed, right? And to this day, I know I was crushed because it was true.
Yeah.
It wasn't a party for her.
Yeah.
So, was the joke funny? No. Was it tasteless? Yes. Was it harmless? It's just a G.I. Jane comment? Not really, especially if somebody is struggling with the way that they are being perceived and their image and their self-esteem. And I feel like Will Smith has a front row seat to that. Am I excusing hitting somebody? Of course not. I'm an adult, hello. But I'm gonna tell you something that I had to learn the hard way. You know when you're really angry and you're expressing your anger at someone, even if you have the best points, even if you're just really using all of your logic, people do not remember the message if the delivery is aggressive, because then they turn around and tell people, they were screaming at me, they were so aggressive, they were in my face. So sometimes your message can be really powerful, but it gets lost in the delivery because people will never remember your intention, but they will remember the way that you made them feel. And it's easy to lack accountability when you're feeling attacked or when you're attacked. Then it no longer becomes a conversation about what they did, but rather how someone crossed a line. So Will Smith trying to defend his wife, that message is lost because he chose to get physical. And I see all those little comments like, well, Will Smith didn't hit August. That's a cheap joke, and we already know that their marriage is open. Like, that's old news. And I feel like they've grown past that, and how they chose to handle that is how they handled it. You know what I mean? So I'm always down to humanize celebrities. We can have that talk. But the line between empathy and excuses is really hard. So we can try to understand Will Smith and Jada and Chris Rock as much as we can, but it's hard because as much as you want to understand, you still cannot make excuses for them. And there's a part of me that's also like, how tired are we to toxic masculinity where we feel like this idea of a hero or a savior is romantic, when at the end of the day, I don't think that we should idolize people who solve things physically. I would like maybe the idea of masculinity to be about setting an example or being a leader. And I don't think getting on stage and hitting somebody aligns with those behaviors. Because I think accountability is a love language, and it's someone telling you that you're better than this. And I think Will Smith is better than that. But he loves his wife. And we can all relate to feeling strongly, but not all of us can relate to feeling so strongly that we harm someone. Especially someone who is looked up to the way that Will Smith is. Everybody looks up to Will Smith. I certainly do. I tell people he's my dad. He's not really my dad. But Do I love that my dad defended my mom? I'm getting a little too tied up. There are other ways to defend your wife. That's what I'm trying to say. I love that he did, but he didn't have to do it like that. Does that make sense? Will Smith just released an apology to Chris Rock, and we are going to read it together. Violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are a part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed and my actions were not... My phone cutting me off is rude. I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. There is no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. I would also like to apologize to the Academy, the producers of the show, all the attendees, and everyone watching around the world. I would like to apologize to the Williams family and my King Richard family. I deeply regret that my behavior has stained what has been an otherwise gorgeous journey for all of us. I am a work in progress. Sincerely, Will. Okay, let's unpack that. I feel that as people, if we are able to separate our own expectations and our own experiences, we can find that we can relate to Will Smith on many levels. But unfortunately, we live in a world where you and I and many of us have seen the effects of violence going on with zero consequence. I do think the Academy is going to give Will Smith consequences. I think that they're going to fine him something of that sort. I do not think they're going to strip him of an Oscar. There are many things that other Oscar winners have done that are unsavory and despicable. It just hasn't happened on the Oscars stage. So we don't know. But Will Smith has created a career for himself that many people dream of. And it saddens me that now this 3-second incident will forever be part of Will Smith's story, no matter the man he becomes and continues to grow into. Of course, you and I know that people are not perfect. We've known this about celebrities since the idea of celebrity came to be. I just hate that now Will Smith is an example of that because I love him and he's beloved by many. But unfortunately, the world is a mirror, and I know that many people are triggered by what they saw last night. And now the Academy has to ensure that this never happens again because it was so unprecedented and I think unexpected from someone like Will Smith.